Welcome back to Weekly Briefing. We are here with our panel of experts. Joining me in studio, Tim Parrish, a Marine Corps veteran, business owner, and conservative activist. Dr. Shay Bradley Farrell, president of Counterpoint Institute for Policy Research and Education. Derek Hawley, president of Reaching America and Project 21. And John Hines, One America News DC bureau chief. The Canadian government invoked the Emergencies Act for the first time in the country's history. This unprecedented move gives Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau expanded power for 30 days. His government threatened to tow vehicles and even suspend truckers' bank accounts.
As of today, a bank or other financial service provider will be able to immediately freeze or suspend an account without a court order. In doing so, they will be protected against civil liability for actions taken in good faith.
John, is Canada's Marxism showing? I shouldn't say Canada's, Trudeau's Marxism.
Trudeau. Well, it's a tradition, of course. I think his father was very much on the liberal side, and I think that's probably coming out. But I think that Canada is sort of reached an inflection point in its political history right now, and people have begun to realize that Canada is different from the United States, because in the Canadian Constitution, they have all these rights, but then there's a caveat, and it says that the government can decide to abrogate those rights at any time, and that's in the Constitution. So their struggle is a little bit different than the struggle for rights here in this country, because you always go back to the Constitution. The Canadian Constitution is different, and I think it sort of has awakened a lot of Canadians to the weakness of their Constitution, and so I think that they are on the road to potentially demanding significant change in their government.
Very interesting. Dr. Shea, what do you think about Trudeau's position on cracking down in an unprecedented fashion?
Well, this isn't surprising, right? Because we've seen a video of Trudeau actually admitting that he admires China's dictatorship over any other administration in the world. And what he likes about it is that they have an element, not an element, but they have control over the economy, over the people. So how he got elected, I don't know, but I agree with John. Hopefully this is now a wake-up call. I'm really proud of those Canadian truckers standing up for their civil liberties, and they're not a threat to anybody. They're just trying to put themselves forward and saying that we stand up for our rights.
Right, well, they're a threat to dictators.
True.
Thank God for the truckers. Okay,
Yes.
But the other thing is, never before has he invoked this in Canada, not for war or anything, but they're doing it because of these truckers and because people are standing up to what they believe. And this is ridiculous right now.
It's a really strong power play in the sense that there doesn't seem to be a good reason for it. Tim, what do you think?
I would just say that is this the same Justin Trudeau that was in blackface that we were supposed to have canceled long before we even got here? And so I would like the cancellation committee to come out and
What's
cancel
the hotline
Justin
for the
Trudeau.
cancellation?
We should ask Whoopi Goldberg. I don't know what it is. But we'll get there.
Yeah, very interesting. It's a scary idea that someone who has admitted to saying they like dictator mentality, who can now take over Canada. Canada is our ally, they're our neighbor, they're our border, and that they could just take this over without blinking an eye. It's a little bit scary.
Yes.
Joe Biden said that if Russia invades Ukraine, sanctions could cause gas prices to increase even more. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki reiterated Biden's message, saying defending liberty comes at a cost.
Well, I think what the president was touching on was the fact that if Russia decides to invade, there could be consequences here at home, and that could have an impact on energy prices, which could have an impact on prices at the gas pump. And while we are taking active steps to alleviate the pressure on our own energy markets, and every option is on the table to offset rising prices. As you saw the president act last fall, range of options remain on the table. He also wanted to be very clear and direct with the American people about what the impact could be, and the fact that in his view, defending democracy and liberty is never without cost.
Derek, what's your reaction?
Oh, she frustrates me so much because she sits up there, she's so condescending, and she's right, and people are sitting there nodding their head. It's like, no, we should not be in this situation right now.
Hold back.
Thank you, John. We as a country, we have an abundance of affordable and reliable energy resources right here that if we just go back to the way things were when President Trump was here, we didn't have all these regulations and all these policies over the oil and gas industry, we would not be in this situation right now. And we wouldn't have to rely on these other countries for oil and gas right now.
Well, and it's interesting, Dr. Shea, I want to get your take because they seem to have a convenient way of blaming a whole bunch of other things outside of the United States. It's Russia and Ukraine, it's COVID, it's nothing that we're doing as leaders to ruin this country.
Yeah, you hit upon it. I'm not convinced this will have much impact on us at all. You know, Russia's economy is smaller than Italy's. We do not depend on Russia. We may see them engage in cyber attack, but even our pushback then would probably be devastating to them. Where it will be felt is in Europe because they're controlling a lot of Europe's natural gas. But what I do think this is propaganda because, again, his ratings are in the toilet and we have outrageous inflation, terribly high gas prices. He has made us more dependent on foreign actors for oil. So, of course, there's got to be some kind of scapegoat.
Well, what's particularly concerning, we're almost out of time on this one, but what's particularly concerning is that they're saying, oh, if this happens, if Russia invades Ukraine, gas prices will increase in the future. But that's not actually a direct cause and effect. So why are they planning on gas prices increasing?
I don't think they're planning on it. I think it's, like I'm saying, a narrative to say us, oh, you're saying why
in the
then
future,
are they?
yeah.
Because of their terrible policies. Go ahead, Derek.
They're preparing us for the increase, the continued increase. That's why I said nothing's going to happen until midterms and we get these people out of office.
Yeah. Oh, it's very scary. Okay. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis criticized companies who force their employees to wear masks. DeSantis suggested that we might need a workers' bill of rights to protect workers from mask mandates.
Speak to a group, there'll be 500 people at a dinner, and I'll speak, and nobody is wearing a mask, and I don't think they should, but then they make the wait staff wear masks during that time period. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, what does that do? If they want to do it for themselves, then fine. I mean, I think people should have that freedom. But in many cases, they're being forced to do it by the properties. And so, you know, I'd hate to say, like, maybe we need like a workers' bill of rights on some of this stuff, just to let people breathe freely when they're working.
Interesting idea. Tim, is he right?
He's absolutely right. And I love how candid he is. I'm from Florida originally, so I love this governor, and I love how candid he is, and he just speaks right from his heart. But, you know, this is absolutely perplexing to think that we're actually in a worker shortage. We have a shortage of people who are showing up to work to do jobs across the job market, and we want to make more regulations and make it harder for them to not only show up to work, but when they're there, they have to wear masks and do all these extra things. I don't know how people are going to keep employees on the job to do these everyday jobs. We should have a worker bill of rights so that people can have those freedoms and liberty while they're working.
John, what do you think about a workers' bill of rights or some type of policy or regulation to protect workers?
It's absolutely brilliant, and Ron DeSantis is brilliant, and he's been miles ahead of everybody on this, and he will probably be elected president at some point. But what he sees is really interesting, and there was a poll this week, and it's pertaining to Washington, D.C., but it has implications for the national political dialogue. And it showed that in the poor African-American and Hispanic wards of Washington, D.C., the support for mask mandates and vaccine mandates is falling through the floor. The support is highest in the wealthiest white wards of Washington, D.C. By the way, I talked to the sheriff in L.A. County. He said he's seen the same thing there. This is what Democrats are seeing. This is what Ron DeSantis is seeing. And if this support amongst African Americans and Hispanics is driven through the floor by these insane mandates, the Democrats are going to lose in November. That's what they're seeing. That's what Ron DeSantis sees. And that's why you're seeing this change in policy on these mask mandates. It's not because of America writ large. It's because the Democratic base is going the other way, and they're saying we've had enough.
I think you're right. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. When we come back from the break, we'll talk about the media's coverage of the Durham report. We'll be right back.